Good evening and welcome to the Board of Education meeting for Tuesday, February 23rd. We're back from break. Some of us had better breaks than others. We'll talk about that later. But we'll start the meeting with the report from the superintendent.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everybody. Welcome back from the break. I hope it was wonderful for everyone. Some fun things to report to you on tonight. The kindergarten class celebrated the 100th day of school, and they began with some breakfast and songs. They had these nice pancake breakfasts that the parents were there to serve, and then the children and parents rotated through the different classrooms to have some multi-sensory type activities, all based on 100th day of school. So they did some kinesthetics with Saracella. I know she was having them do jumping jacks and some jumping stuff. And they did something related to art with Ms. D'Amato and writing experience with Ms. Mendep and math. Scavenger hunt with Mrs. Nagrath and some other math games as well. The nice thing was they divided the children up by color, so they weren't with their same class. Kindergarten class, so it gave them an opportunity to be with some other kindergarten.
So they're randomly
children.
assigned, like you're yellow, you're green, you're blue.
Yeah. So which was kind of it was good for the.
Wait, why are you laughing?
What did I miss?
Because when he said that we assigned them by color,
She was thinking
Oh.
racially.
Sorry.
Let's just say there was
didn't
a
even think.
small group and a large group.
so Eileen decided
appreciate
to
the cover-up there,
clarify
Clear that one up.
yellow.
So it's kind of like what they do for field day.
Yeah.
Where they,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you could be in, so it was all kindergartens,
It
right?
was all kindergarten mixed up.
But you would be separated from your
Correct.
classmates, but put into,
And it was nice for the parents too, because oftentimes at the parent meetings they're with, or the class meetings with the same parents, so
Yeah.
they had an opportunity to meet other parents as well. So it was kind of a fun day. And our middle school students got to enjoy a yoga workshop as part of their phys ed activities. Mrs. Zadovich and Mr. Wendell received the PTSA grant to support yoga, having a yoga instructor come in, and all students in the middle school had an opportunity to participate. And from what I understand, the kids absolutely loved it and had a real nice time with it. Thought it was a terrific idea. Something we'll see how, if there any way we can integrate it into some of our PE world. And then the 6th and 7th graders also had a visit regarding the building of the Tappan Zee Bridge. Dan Marcy and Andrew O'Rourke from what's called the New York Bridge Project visited 6th and 7th graders to talk about teamwork, innovation, architect, structural supports, things of that with our students. And from what I understand, I did not have an opportunity to attend, but speaking with some of the teachers and the students who did go, they were just thrilled. The kids were just so attentive and really into the presentation, and the presenters were just fascinating. Kids didn't want to leave. They had tons of questions for them and such. It was a really terrific experience for them as well.
There's a viewing platform that schools can go to, anybody can go
Yeah.
to, but that in Terrytown, that's cool. Really very,
Oh, they can.
very
That's
great.
neat.
Yeah, on both sides of the bridge, actually. There's a
Yeah,
viewing
it's pretty
platform.
cool. And we have 2 National Merit Scholarship finalists, Catherine Berman and Jordana Solomon. So I want to congratulate them. Some of their awards will be distributed in March, so that's a nice thing. So congratulations to them and their families. The 7th and 8th graders did a performance of Zombie Prom in January. Some
Despite the
pictures
weather.
of that. Yeah, despite the weather. They did do a follow-up show. One show was had to get canceled because we had the snow, but then we had a second one the following Friday night. So they were able to do a second performance. We were able to arrange that. And then this Friday, the 6th graders will be performing their adaptation of HMS Pinafore. So if you have an opportunity to come out and root them on, that would be great. And our next board meeting will be in 2 weeks. It's not a whole lot because we're just coming back from break, but we will have a presentation from people from the high school regarding some of the new electives, including the coding elective that we talked about before, and some of the initiatives that we are looking at moving forward, like the project Lead the Way that we'd like to report on as well, to share some information with you and see how we might be able to work in some additional STEM activities. And we will also presenting the full proposed budget at that meeting as well. A few minor tweaks we'll be doing to the budget between now and then. but it still will be coming in under, right at where our cap number is, which is 0.12%, so it's going to be a challenge, but we'll come in with that. We're keeping close tabs on our kindergarten registration. Just started this week, and we had 2 days, 18 registered each day, so we're up to 36. But it's going on all week, and as you know, one of our goals for next year is to go with a full-day kindergarten program, extend our program and do the additional hour. Hopefully we'll be able to do that. It looks like it will be a go on all fronts, except for the fact if we get an influx of kindergarten students where we have to open up another section, then we'll have to revisit that, because I'm not sure if we'll be able to afford this in this budget or not. So, and that's it.
Okay, thanks. All right, we don't have any public with us this evening, so we'll move on to the business items. One I just wanted you to talk about, I don't know if everybody's really sure of it, is the one for the on-scene technologies. We talked about it because when we reported out the health and safety last time, but...
Oh, let me just pull it up real quick. The on-scene, is that the Share 911? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yes, happy to do that. So this,
Ask a question. On our agenda, we have budget and facilities update. Is that,
yeah, I'm going to do the budget at our next meeting.
okay.
I'll
And the
do
facility.
Facilities update, I was thinking about that, trying to, what I can update you on that we haven't updated you on yet, but there's really nothing going on.
Going on right
It's
now,
winter.
right.
Because
All
it's
right, I was just
winter.
wondering now, 'cause it
The
was
only
on-
thing we had done recently was the contractor came back to put sandbags up around where the tennis
Saw
court
that,
is
yeah.
to help prevent the flooding on the playground, because there's some drainage work that still has to get done, and I know it was flooding into the playground area, but he did come back and put some sandbags there, so that's new. And I think they came up and installed the scoreboard in the outfield by the baseball
They did, yeah.
field as well.
Saw that today,
So
yeah.
that was, those are the two new things. Other than that, until the weather gets
We're in a
warmer,
break.
they're going to come back and,
In 2 days.
yeah, right. But
Great, thank you, sir.
the good news is we got a very large jump on the projects, the field projects, because of the mild winter. And I know we're happy with how much he's gotten done, and he's coming back. He wanted to come back and start working on the bleachers already, but then we ran into that little bit of snow, so he held off. But that was the next thing he was going to come back and do. We also got a jump on the Burkefield with the retaining walls being put in, so that was nice. So we're on a pretty good schedule. Some of the electrical work that we're having inside our buildings has started, and we're just at a standstill on that right now until we get some of the equipment in. And we've been in contact with the Univent company that's coming in, they're placing their order. So things are progressing, but there's not a lot new going on currently. We have a meeting tomorrow, construction meeting tomorrow morning with the architects and some of the contractors just to get some follow-up stuff going on.
Great, thank
Yeah.
you.
No,
That's all
that's
right.
okay. Thank you. Okay, so back to on-scene technologies, or Share 911, it's the overarching company. So we had a company come in and present it to the Health and Wellness Safety Committee about, it's a web-based program that I can best describe it as a communication system in the event that there's an emergency at our school. And it uses basically staff cell phones as one option, or a computer, anything that you can get to the web on. And it will give anyone the ability to call a lockdown, including teachers. So I think that's important because, God forbid there's a shooter on one side of the building or an emergency on one side of the building. You shouldn't have to wait for an administrator necessarily to go to contact to call an emergency lockdown. And there'll be a lot of training going on, obviously, for this, but it gives us better access and better communication. So if somebody it pinpoints right where the emergency is, tells the law enforcement and us what's going on. In the event that there's a child missing from your class, because if you call a lockdown, there's a chance a child might be in a bathroom or somewhere else, and the teachers are told to grab the child, bring them in the room, the closest room. So if it's a child from my class that's missing, I can report that on the program and say, Johnny Jones is missing. and then somebody else sees that, and if they have that person, they can report back that I did find the person. So it tightens up the security, the communication back and forth quite a bit. You can also drop a pin if you're in trouble. You can drop a pin and let the police know exactly where you are in the building, which is nice.
And it has apparently much
What does
better
that mean?
GPS.
I'm sorry?
You mean drop a
It's
pin?
like a location finder, like a GPS location finder. So
You don't literally drop
you
it.
do, actually, on the app. It looks like a pin that actually drops.
It's like-
So you have to have a handheld thing or something like that to do?
No, it's just either your cell phone or the computer.
And apparently the GPS in it is much better than, because the general GPS just tells them they're at Farragut.
Right.
Kind of thing. So this will tell them like which floor and different things like that
What
as
part of the
well.
building they're at.
That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
And so we're looking at that. The other thing that's where it's really helpful is the reunification in the event we would need that. So an example would be if we have to go off-site with our kids, evacuate the building, and we're down at the community center, and now we have parents trying to be reunited with their child. There's really no good system in place for that. It becomes very chaotic. This now will allow us to communicate, saying, okay, I have, John Jones, okay, I have his parents, and it helps you reunite the student with the parent as well. And it fulfills the obligations that we have with the state in terms of the plan. We have to have an emergency plan with all these components in place, and it will help fulfill that obligation as well. So it's, when they come in, we're going to start the back-end stuff now, getting everybody's email and contact information in. And once we get that organized, perhaps I'll invite the company in to do a demo to the board members to let you have a feel
It's
for
pretty
how
cool.
it
It
works.
is- Yeah, it's really, I mean, it's just like a little thing that runs off most people's phones. and You'll have to get a new phone, dear.
So that's what that's about.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just want to
I'm
make sure.
probably not describing it really well, but
No, I think that,
It's,
but I think it's also, it's in line with what we have to do that the state is requiring us. It enhances your ability to track kids. And it also really allows you to really identify where the issue is and what's going on. And it's also tagged with the police department as well, so that they can tag, they look into the system, they can see any information that's coming from the teachers and the
Everyone
parents.
shares the same.
Everyone shares all that information.
And in the event that somebody is in trouble or has an emergency, you can communicate that as well. So, I have a medical emergency here with a child or with me or whatever, and they know where you are. And
Yeah. And I think it allows the police department
yes.
to put us into a lockdown
Yes.
also.
Yes, police can do it as well.
If they-
So, for example, if there's something that's happening in town
Right.
with a robbery or something, and they want to let us know that, and we want to do a lock-in, they can communicate that to us right away from the program as well.
Just like Eileen had said, the new requirement, state police, that we have to send our plans, like there's these new requirements where everything has to be in the standard template. You have to respond to like your exact plan, your drilling. So this really does tie in with
Yeah.
all the things you have, like, it's not just so, it's like almost a requirement to have things in place.
It was pretty, it was impressive. I think it'd be interesting just
Yeah,
to
it'd
see
be
it.
interesting to have them come in, so I'll be happy to do that.
Yeah. Okay, did anybody have questions on the items?
Yeah, that's all.
K-12 Insight.
The last one.
Oh, K-12 Insight, yes. So this was a company that works in the area of communications, and we brought them in to do a demo of what they do. And the reason I'd like to move forward with it, I think it'll enhance our website quite a bit, and it'll give opportunities for either parents or residents to target their communications where it needs to go. So what you'll see, it's called Let's Talk, and so on our webpage, on the front page, you'll see a bunch of tabs. It'll say Superintendent's Office, Board of Education, Business Office, in different departments as well, depending on how you want to set it up. So if I'm a resident or parent, I want to make a suggestion, a comment, an email, and they can be anonymous too. We will allow that. They can target where it goes, so it automatically gets distributed to whoever you have on the back end, and they'll get an immediate email response saying, we received your communication. Someone will get back to you within a 24-hour time frame or whatever we set up, and allows us to also track who responded, how quickly they responded, what the response was, etc. So it's, I think, I often hear from parents that it's frustrating not getting information or not being able to communicate, or they don't know where to find an email address or who to contact for this or that or the other thing. So I think this will kind of perk up our website and provide people with a nice opportunity to communicate however they want to. So I'd like to try it for the year, and then it gives you a lot of back-end reports that I think would be, so we got, 1,000 emails for this or that or the other thing. I think it'll tell us a lot of good information as we try to improve our communication.
So when you say for the year, do you mean just the rest of this year? Or is it-
Well,
or for
well,
next?
for next year. This is for
Okay.
the rest of this year and for next year is what the proposal, should you approve, that's what it's for. It's the rest of this year and for next year.
Okay. All right, any other questions?
Can we just table number 6 for now? Because I want to, there's a lot, I had a late
Okay, that's the roofing
conversation that
contract?
The number is just going to change slightly, the agreement number.
Okay, all right.
The construction company.
Yep. Okay, so in that case, can I get a motion to approve items 1 through 12 with the exception of number 6?
So moved.
And a second?
Second?
All those in favor? Okay. Placement for services, can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Okay. We have appointments, very few personnel things tonight, so on any of these things, in A, B, or C, the appointments, the rescissions, or appointment amendment. The E&L, is that an extra position, or?
It's an extra position for this year. It
Yeah.
has to do with the couple of...
Sorry, which one?
E&L.
Yeah.
It was actually on the board agenda
Right.
at the last meeting. You saw the resume at that point. But it's needed because we had I believe there's three students that moved in that are in need of intensive E&L services. So it's part of that mandated service where we have to provide an intense level of service. And so honestly, one student is almost a 0.2 of this position based on the requirements that we have.
ENL stands for?
English as a new language.
New language, no longer
Used to
second
be
language.
ELL, used to be ESL, now it's ENL.
Yeah.
And the Schedule B rescissions, is that typically how this works around this time of year, to rescind and then reapply or reappoint, or?
Maureen, is that, it seems like they're always
Yeah.
scheduled to be changes.
It's always changing,
Okay.
I think they, some of these people who may have either gotten other jobs or, it's now not feasible for them to do the spring sports. So a lot of them have been our coaches last season, but now are unable to do the spring
Okay.
this year.
Thanks.
Okay, can I get a motion then for all the personnel items in A, B, and C?
So moved.
And a second?
Second?
All those in favor? Okay. We have minutes from our last meeting. Were there anything people needed to change on it, or? So Board Docs has cleaned up this pretty nicely, I have to say. Or maybe it's just Janine, who knows?
I think it's Janine. Janine's been here. We have
It's
many
like,
fewer.
Yeah, it's fantastic, so.
any.
All right, then can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved?
And a second?
Second?
All those in favor? All right. Okay, so we had, since we were out all last week, we haven't had too many meetings, but we did meet as a policy committee today, so I'll let Donna, we did a lot, actually.
You did. And actually, in the online, you can see I've got the recap of what we did. We met this afternoon, or this morning. This afternoon, I guess it was. And the first two things were things that were held over from our previous meeting. One was policy 1230, public participation at board meetings. And NISBA had recommended some updates. Eileen was going back and just looking at the policy. The things that NISBA was suggesting, we had decided we didn't really need to deal with, but there were a couple of issues that we wanted to clean up in terms of with the two public comment periods. what topics can be discussed in either one or both, because our policy was specifying that one was specifically about agenda items and the other one wasn't. So in any case, Eileen is going to forward that to Janine, so we'll have a first read on it at the next board meeting, and then you will all be able to see the details of that. And then the other one that was held over from before was for several of our facilities policies, school building safety, health and safety, and buildings and ground maintenance. There had been some recommended or optional updates, and this was another one that Eileen had taken the lead on, sort of reviewing what we had versus what they were recommending, and we felt that there wasn't really, because we weren't using the same language that NYSBA has in their sample policies, not always the things that they recommend are things that we need to include, and in this case, we're fine leaving our policies as is. School admissions was a policy that we had also taken a look at based on a recommended update from NYSBA, and we had started to bring it up, I think, back in December, and had a question about it, which we referred, Janine checked with NYSBA for us, having to do with I'm having a mental block.
The age that you have.
Yes, thank you. And so in any case, with that policy, there was sort of a line that NYSBA had added that we weren't sure we needed to use, and so we've decided that we don't need to put it in the policy because it's basically just a matter of law. And so Janine's just going to confirm whether the version we have is identical to what we've already got online or not. And if it's not, you'll see that as a first read at the next meeting. The rest of them were from the second NYSBA update of the year. There were 6 policies they were recommending that we review. 2 of them are policies that we actually don't have at all. They're not required policies. And in looking at theirs, one having to do with grading systems and the other one having to do with administering Narcan, we decided not to add either of those policies and just to leave things as they are. Of the 4 that we do have that they were recommending changes, there were 2 of them where, again, because our language didn't necessarily tie directly to what NYSBA has, there was one on school district records, and they were recommending adding some language that wasn't necessary because ours policy already sort of addressed the issue in a more general way that we didn't need to put that language in, so we left that one alone. And the other one we left alone was our we don't call it computer resource and data management.
Acceptable use.
Our acceptable use policy also doesn't tie to the same language that they use, and in comparing theirs to ours, we felt that nothing that they were recommending as a change was really applicable, so we left it alone. The ones that you will see are the disposal of district property. They recommended adding language making clear that if the property we're disposing of is a computer or anything else that would have sensitive information in it, that the policy should expressly say that it needs to be wiped before it's disposed of. So that one you'll see as a first read at our next meeting, because we are going to add that language. And then the last one, what have I missed? School district records, grading. Oh, and the student health services policy. Again, was another one that we didn't change. They were recommending an update because there's a new immunization requirement that I think in 7th and either 11th or 7th and 12th grade. The
7th and 12th?
It's that kids get the meningococcal vaccine. Our policy doesn't list out what the vaccines are. It just states that we need to comply with, state law in terms of what vaccines kids need to have. So we didn't actually need to make a change to that one. So bottom line, there will be 3 policies that'll be up for first read at our next meeting in March. And we've decided to spend our next policy committee meeting starting to review the concept of creating a regulations manual. Which,
Yahoo!
And the groan goes over the crowd.
We talked also about the community use of district
Facilities.
facilities.
oh, yeah,
And so
skipped right over that one. Thank you, Wendy. Go ahead.
So that one's
So
going,
we
yeah.
made a few changes to it, but I think the next place is the Facilities Committee, and we've got to talk about the schedule of fees and all of that, and then it'll come here for a first read.
Yeah, we need one anyway to talk about that.
Do you have the underlying operations costs you're going to base the fees on?
I think that's hard to pin that on. I think it's better to use like what the going rates are and other.
You still have the one that we did before?
Yeah,
That was
probably.
kind of like
Because it was really-
$1, you know, I mean, it was-
I think I think these rates will well cover it, but if you can maybe dig that one out of the files?
Probably in here.
Yeah.
It was really helpful.
Yeah.
In how we should do our pricing.
It was like 5 or 6 years ago, but I don't think that, I mean, electrical costs, we can update. It wasn't very, I don't think a lot of those costs have escalated all that much in the last
Right.
few years. So I think we could use it as a basis and make sure that, if you factor in 3% inflation on the numbers, then we can, just come up with something that we know we're at least covering the cost. But it's usually, yeah.
But I mean, I know those numbers were kind of.
Those are pretty low, yeah. Yeah, so we want to make sure we cover them, so that's, so if you can dig that
I
out.
think mainly it came down to-
I don't know if we ever really.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
there was wear and tear, and then there was also the cost of, if we had to provide any staffing for cleanup after or anything like
Now
that.
that we have security and events and there's.
We have to add that in too, yeah.
Yeah, so.
Janine, the only thing I noticed is that when I was cutting and pasting from the cover letter that NYSBA sent explaining what they were recommending, I normally change where it says "we" to NYSBA. Because this way it looks like the board's recommending these things. Thanks.
I just did it last minute, so I didn't.
Yeah, well, and I didn't fix that either, so.
Emily has made a valiant effort to come in this evening, despite a rough vacation, I guess.
So the first thing that I'm going to talk about are the 2 trips that were taken. The Latin class went to Rome. I think it was only 12 students, it might have been. It was a smaller number in Cuba. Was 24 students and 4 teachers, so it was 28 of us. And we got to do a lot of cool stuff. It was a very well organized trip. I think we were kind of doing stuff every single day. There wasn't too much travel time going between the cities. We got to go to Camagüey, Trinidad, and Havana and walk throughout all of those places. And we got to see a lot of art and music and dance, and we got exposed to a lot of things. And I think it went pretty smoothly. I don't think anything really went wrong on the trips. And so I think that's a good sign to maybe start having them again. That's sort of my recommendation for, so future students can have the same experience, because I really thought it personally made me appreciate kind of Spanish more and Cuba, and I got to know a lot, and I know a lot of other students did too. So
The kids are in all 4 grades, the high school?
no, well, it was for Cuba at least, it was for upper level Spanish, so Spanish for honors, which is juniors typically, and AP Spanish. But I think there was only 1 sophomore that went, Hannah Scotch, because she's an upper level, but it was mostly just juniors and seniors who were open to it. And the Rome trip was, I think, for everyone who's in upper level Latin as well. And then also, 2 weeks ago, the week before break, we had a dinner for Mr. Foster, which he's recently been diagnosed with cancer, and so it was kind of like a fundraiser and also to show support, and he really, really enjoyed it, and I think we made a lot of money. I'm not quite sure about the actual amount, but I know that money was raised, and it was published in the newspaper, the Buzzer today, and he just said how thankful he was and how grateful, and it was a really nice kind of just showing support of him. Also, the musical, the High School Musical, which is Les Mis, it has been cast and auditions have started. I don't know if that's important to anyone.
Of course it is.
And also, there have been a lot of, like, the seniors, the juniors, my class, have been doing our schedules, and there have been a lot of people noticed new classes that have been added, like, as we said before, the coding classes, and also a lot of different, there's AP Physics, there's different kinds of versions of that, and also computer science classes, which we've never had before, and that's, a lot of students have been appreciating that and have been wanting to take advantage of those classes. So that's all I have to say.
Great.
Can you speak about or share a highlight from the trip to Cuba?
My personal, there was a lot of fun things, but we went to this artist's home. I don't know his first name, but his last name is Foster, like Foster, and he decorated his whole house with tiles, so it's kind of like a huge mosaic on the walls. He's a fountain with a pool, and it was awesome. It was just like, it was so different than anything I've ever seen before. It was so cool. Yeah.
I saw pictures of it. It looked like Gaudi.
Yeah, it was
Nice.
inspired by
Yeah,
Gaudi and
it
Picasso.
does, yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. It was really neat.
Well, maybe Ms. Database will have a new career in
Yeah, doing tours.
retirement.
Yes.
Who were the other teachers that went?
Mr. A, Ms. Hardesty, Ms. Darabase, and Ms. Paz.
That's great. That's great. Okay, the calendar.
Yeah, just a quick follow-up on a couple of questions that were asked last time, and then if there's, then we'll answer any other questions that you might have, but I'd like to get it approved so we can get it out because we're getting a lot of calls. But I know Wendy, you had asked, I think it was Wendy, asked about why, if the snow day, if we need more snow days, why it goes from April 10th to the 10th and the 12th, and et cetera. So the first day of Passover it's the evening of the 10th it starts. So that's why we can't do the 11th. And Good Friday is the 14th. So that's the reason we couldn't start on that end. So that's why we chose the 10th as one day, because it's on a Monday, longer weekend type thing, and then skipped over Passover, and then went to the 12th and 13th. So that's the reason for that.
So Passover starts the night
I think
of
it's
the
sundown
10th?
of the 10th, if I'm not mistaken.
But this is
that
the
right?
days that if we have to add in
If you have to
days?
add more than 6 days.
If El Nino's not a problem
Yeah,
next year.
Yeah.
But wait, why can't you do it on Passover? Why can't you have school on Passover?
Oh, I guess you could.
Well, because people
but
may be
I think,
traveling to
Yeah.
wherever their family is that they're having their Seder.
And maybe traveling on the Monday.
Well, that's why I was about to say that I don't know if Monday is a great, I mean, I would think that's like starting in the middle of the week, maybe with Wednesday and Thursday rather than Monday, because,
Well, but is that a vacation week?
yeah.
You can't do it in the middle of the week.
Right. I
Well,
do want to
you
start in the
kinda
middle of the
have
week.
to.
but-
You got to do it beginning or end.
you don't have to.
Well,
Well,
let's be
we
realistic.
haven't had to do that, I
You
know,
know,
since
very-
my time here.
Yeah,
I don't know
I
how
mean,
much
I
longer,
know
so
it's
I can't remember.
I don't think it should be a major issue for us, because quite frankly, in my opinion, no matter what day we choose, you're going to have a lot of people out
People will be
anyway,
bagging it no matter what.
because I imagine people will take that week.
Well, they'll make plans for it, yeah.
So I don't know that it really matters which day you choose.
That's true.
Right.
You
So-
build in more snow days, I think, than others. Some schools
Yeah, we have,
build them on 4.
right, we have 6 days available to us, which is pretty,
More than
If
enough.
we have another winter like this one.
yeah, and we only use one, so I'm not going to look so
You
far.
can end school in March, right?
And I know, Karen, you had asked about the potential of having parent conferences in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
And we looked at that, and I don't think next year is the right time to do that, unfortunately, because what I would propose is to do a parent-teacher conference day in the morning and then maybe a staff development day in the afternoon.
Okay.
I think that makes more sense to do it that way. But because we're doing that full day of staff development day next
Right,
year, it
you
doesn't
can't
quite,
do it.
we're not doing the half days.
Right.
But certainly the year after, if we're going to do the afternoon staff development days, I think that would make some sense.
So we can wait till you don't have to come to parent-teacher conference. Exactly.
Yeah, so there you go. We'll fix it as soon as you can. But the other complication of that we talked about was if you're not, I imagine we're going to have a lot of parents who want that first appointment in the morning Because if you're
Yeah, 8
if you're
works.
not getting 8 or 9, if you're going to get 10:30 or 11, you're taking the whole morning off anyway.
Right.
So
I'd be curious
Yeah.
to see, though.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, because for some people, just not, like, going in later is easier than trying to get out
no, I
in the
understand.
afternoon.
Yeah, no, it makes some sense.
And everybody wants the evening spots because there's
Yeah,
only
same,
afternoon.
right.
And because the afternoon spots don't really go to the end of a
Right,
workday,
right.
so- I mean, definitely, when they first switched, because they used to do what you're describing,
Uh-huh.
Roy, where there was like a morning conferences and then afternoon
Afternoon.
staff to
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah.
And when they initially stopped that for whatever reason, I remember getting a few calls from parents that were upset that there were no longer
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
morning conferences.
I mean, it makes sense. I mean, I don't mind going back to that again, but I just don't think, because the way it's set up
Right.
next year is not, unfortunately for you, not the right
Right.
time. So,
I'll be a senior.
yeah,
Well, what's also unfortunate is that New York State, if you have 2 half-days, it counts as 2 days of school.
Yeah.
But if you, because the other approach, if New York State didn't do it that way, was that you could have your morning conferences and your afternoon conferences on the same
On the
day.
full day, yeah.
And just like
Yeah.
have a day with no school and
Right.
then, but.
Right.
But because we get more credit for having
Correct.
2 half-days,
Correct.
which is sort of silly.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's when you go back to what we were talking about before with the minutes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I think those were the questions you asked last time.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, so we want to say that we're approving this one? Okay, that's good. All right, so that one can be the one that goes out? and-
Don't we
Yeah,
have to-
you have to do a motion to approve, but yes.
Oh, we have to officially do it?
I think you
Okay.
do.
Can I get a motion to approve the,
So moved.
In a second.
and a second? And did you second? Yeah. Okay. All those in favor? All right.
I don't think they believe I just said, yeah, they said it was okay.
We liked it, it worked.
Oh, question, do you know, since we're starting on the 5th?
Yes.
6th, we're starting on the 6th, what day in August do practices begin?
Oh,
It's usually
Is that-
2 weeks
is
prior.
that-
Probably the 15th or 16th.
yeah, I would think
Always
15th or
the same
16th, right?
date. Yeah, I think it's probably the 15th.
It wouldn't
the
be
sixth-
that next week?
The
Because isn't
22nd?
it usually 2 weeks before?
It's always,
1, 2,
in my mind,
oh.
the 15th or 16th of August.
Yeah, but look at the way the
It's not really-
days fall.
But it was the
Based on-
15th or
No,
16th
right.
last year when it was...
But I mean,
But it's not really based on our schedule.
It's based on the section
Section
schedule.
schedule.
So that means there's a full 3 weeks then?
Yeah.
That's possible.
I'll find out. I don't know the answer, but I can ask Adam to look into it for you, so you have an idea.
No, that's, yeah.
Good to know.
That's difficult.
It seems like most other districts are using
two
the same
shall pass.
calendar as well, so that might impact the whole section, I don't know anybody who's not using this
Maybe
calendar.
wishing you were coming back for practice.
Okay. We don't have any new business. The only one thing I would, what?
I just wanted to report a little bit on the legislative forums.
Oh, yeah, perfect, that's where I was going to go, so go ahead.
Take a mic.
What? Take a mic.
Mike who?
So 2 weeks ago, West Putt held their annual legislative forum, and the format in the recent years has been, tables are set up for different legislators, and if you're, part of that legislator's district, you go and you sit down and you ask questions and all of that. So, same thing this year, and first it started with some presentations, including a presentation by Brenda Myers, who's the superintendent in Valhalla. And she did this demonstration using the Kerplunk game, where, what?
I remember that game.
I love that game. With the sticks and the marbles, yeah.
She pulled out a stick and she said, this is what the tax cap is doing to us, and then this is what the lack of GEA funding is. And, shortly, all of the pieces are kerplunking down, it's kind of this symbolic thing. So one of the people at this forum volunteered to videotape this so that we could use it as a kind of a PR thing for, why we need people to start getting more active, at least in terms of sending in letters that, are pretty easy to send the way that we've been doing it lately. The tone at this meeting was so different than prior meetings because the legislators are really angry and at what's going on with the schools. And so it was kind of like...
With the schools or the schools' budgets?
With the budget,
Yeah, okay.
And what's happening in Albany, and, for them, the two biggest issues are GEA and foundation aid. I think Brenda was, kind of more on the, APPR as the big issue. But, the message, which has been consistent all along, is that we have to get people to start sending letters, and the best places for them to go right now are to the governor and to the, the head of the education department. Although when you send these letters, they go out to all of the legislators, and that's good also. But the Westchester Putnam legislators are all kind of in the same place. And they're all, just wanting to get the governor's attention to, to understand what's happening in the schools. Oh, and the tax cap was the other issue. So I think we need to kind of figure out what we want to do as a district in this respect. I mean, one of the things that was sent around, I don't know if you guys saw it, but the National School Board Association has a letter to take action on the Every Student Succeeds Act, which is to thank our congresspeople for voting for it, and then reminding them how important it is now to look at implementation, because that's kind of really what the heart of making it an okay piece of legislation is going to be. And then there's just stuff that we need to do more locally and in the state.
Yeah, and there were two pieces of legislation. One was a bill from Galen, who's up out of Ossining, and that one is to allow districts to fund a reserve for teachers' pension benefits, the way that we do for employee benefits. Apparently there's union opposition on it, but I think it's clearly something that we've talked about in the past and suggested that they do, so that would be a new one. We do have up on the website, there's a sample letter that you can modify however you want, or you can click through to the campaign that was, or the letter that was set up by the Westchester Putnam School Board Association addressing in particular GEA and foundation aid. There's also background information on what the governor's budget was about, because the governor really seems to be the one who is putting money in lots of other places than public education, charter schools, tax credit for private schools, things like that. So there's a lot of information up on the website. If you look at the Board of Education tab, under that, the legislative advocacy, and then there are links, and the addresses for the head of the Senate and Assembly education committees are also on there. So if you really wanted to direct it, make your own letter.
That's where else it has to go. Right?
That's really where it has to go, and it has to go real soon. I mean, the last time we sent out a blast, we asked that people get it out pretty much by this time, because that's when most of the action will be happening in Albany. This one, the other, go ahead. I remember this.
I was just say, I wonder if we should be sending out a blast to people, reminding of this, or directing them to the website, or if we should also be maybe be present at the upcoming liaison meetings and explain it at the liaison meetings and ask them to get the word out at each school that people should be sending letters and direct them to the website.
Actually, on the funding issue, there's a chart that, I only was able to get 3 of these, so I'll just send them around and whoever wants them. But all of this stuff is on on the Westput website, there's a chart that shows how much the governor recommended for foundation aid, GEA restoration, a couple other items, and next to it are the amounts recommended by the regents, the New York State Education Conference Board, NYSBA, and another
I
organization.
think the superintendents of the budget.
Yeah.
Budget
So
officials.
it's pretty striking, and maybe we want to pull this table, this chart out, and do something, just say that this shows you what, how the governor is
Is out of sync with
about-
everybody else.
What?
Is out of sync.
with all the other people who are interested in education.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, the
That's a
other.
good idea, Wendy.
The other little bit of a well, a little bit, it's a big bit if they could get it done, is a proposed bill to remove the inflation tie for the tax cap and just make it a 2% tax cap.
right, is that that's what the other letter in Westput, under their little...
Is it in there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, 'cause actually, my group, the legislators provided for break as well, and they do, as they tell your groups, it is all about advocacy, and they said that's really what they respond to, like as much as that the letters, that actually does hold some weight.
And we can send resolutions out, but it's volume.
Right,
Yeah.
volume, they said they care about seeing from all the residents.
Well, I think that's why we have to get the word out to people and to
Well,
parents.
we'll send another one. We'll send
Yeah.
another blast and say, one more reminder, this is kind of the deadline, do it, this is, click through to this, and you can do that.
So I think a lot of my group agrees that because people haven't really felt the pain and we keep acting like it's doomsday, but a lot of districts like ours are in that situation where we can't continue to sustain. And everyone is going through all their reserves and we're kind of in that same boat. So a lot of people,
Yeah.
like ourselves, it's again the tax cap, I think, because they always ask you like, well, what's the most important? And obviously you want everything, but a lot of people were saying, at least if you could have some local control in the tax cap, they've made it where if you don't stay under it and people aren't getting these refunds, like it just keeps making like penalties on top of it. So a lot of people wanted just the 2% because they feel like we can manage better in that. And then also, like the GEA, for Hastings, the GEA and Foundation mean a lot, but there's, unfortunately, in Westchester, the foundation aid, running of the formula isn't great for everybody. For us, for some reason, we are losing a ton of money.
Yeah.
There's some districts that actually will lose money if the foundation aid runs through, like Scarsdale, Bronx, so they will actually get less money. So it's interesting, a lot of the more wealthy districts are actually benefiting from the way it
Ours is like $1 million.
Ours is $1 million that we're
Yeah.
losing this year, and then plus the GEA, and we actually still
Which
have
is
a lot of
$300,000
money locally,
Yeah.
more so than a lot of other districts in those two areas. So, it is the formula and the foundation aid that's not
Yeah.
running through, so we would really benefit from it. But I think that obviously if people don't start then next year everyone does feel it'll be almost like a doomsday kind of budget because the CPI with the tax cut will be impossible to stay under.
Yeah.
So I know that almost the majority of districts are using a lot of reserves and just kind of waiting one more year and then,
Right.
and they say,
Well,
why
also
does it
because
have to
it's
get
not,
to that?
it's not a
Like,
majority, I mean, it's not a simple majority, it's a
Right.
super majority to pass over the tax
And
cap.
I know that Abenante was saying that, which he said, would people be interested? Of course, everyone would be. If the board, by majority vote, voted to override the tax cap, which I'm like, well, don't they do that by putting the budget forward? That's, so they were suggesting that maybe they could get the governor, like the cities do, just having a
Oh, just have the
majority
bo-
of the board's vote, and then as long as the budget passed by a simple vote, then, I mean, they're thinking of things they could
I see, it's kind of like making us be the electoral college?
Exactly. I mean, that was his idea, I just don't think I don't think the governor would go for that.
That one doesn't sound like you. I
Yeah,
mean,
no.
Right.
yeah, I don't think he's, from what I've heard, he doesn't want to go for any of these things because he feels like that's his signature move.
Right.
I put in this,
But they said right now,
Rock solid tax
everybody, most people, taxpayers are happy with it because their taxes have not risen the way they have. So until there's going to
right, until you
be
go
a
to
day,
class sizes
right.
of 30 and the parents scream.
So
and,
people have
you
to
know.
really understand
Yeah.
that they will come,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's, I feel like, I know a lot of people, like, again, we always say to legislators, we say it and we get through it, right? But then
Yeah.
eventually that, especially this year with that .12,
Yeah.
For some districts are feeling it more this year, and others are going to feel it next year, so.
Well, if you got that kind of an inflation rate and a problem in the equity markets and the retirement funds didn't do well and you had to pay up for those, then you'd really
And
be in
people
trouble.
anticipate that retirement fund going back, up next year.
Mm-hmm.
Because it has not been performing well.
Well, and I don't know if you folks got the same robocall from the governor that I got today.
yes.
Did you? He's playing up the fact that he's doing a live town hall to talk about his proposal to have a $15 minimum wage. So he's clearly playing up in terms of PR, the sort of more democratic-leaning moves that he makes, and his whole stance on education. I think he, like what he plays up is the fact that the property owners' taxes are staying down, but there's just very little discussion about, there's certainly none from him as to what he's doing in terms of defunding education. And, I think he's like picking issues that have sort of an easy tagline that he can say, so it's dangerous.
All right, so we'll send out another blast. Hopefully, if you haven't done it, please do something, folks, if you happen to be listening. And give us a call. If it's not clear what's on the website, or if you need a little more information, talk to any of us. Our phone numbers are all on there, our emails are there, so please get involved, because it's not boards they want to hear from, it's the people who vote for them, so really important. Okay, did anybody have a new business or old business or comments or anything else? Oh, yeah, that's right. Thank you, Maureen. Just a little quick update. We had received an email from Ron Kamen, who's the solar consultant, and he has been pushing on Solar City. We had some issues about the number of trees and how the tree lines affected the initial estimate of what we could install on the elementary school. So we're about 2/3 of the original estimate, 2/3, 3/4, is what it will come down at, but it's the same price as what we had priced at before. Maureen was going to do some research to find out if we should feel smug. Oh, okay. About what the K-Solar program was, which was the other path that we could have taken. Solar City is the installer on that, so that's kind of a wash there. So we'll see how it turned out. But Ron also said that we've talked about battery storage in the past for energy. There was not a possibility of doing it at Hillside because of the size of the system that would go in, particularly when the system got smaller. But there are now apparently battery providers that will put together competitive prices. So he's going to put together an RFP. Kamen is going to put together an RFP to see if we can get battery separate from the solar installation. So we could do it here, even though there's no solar going on this building for structural reasons. We could do it in conjunction with the system at the elementary school. So it looks like we'll get some, and we'll be, hopefully find out soon just how good the price was. So that was good. So there's a little progress on that. So that was good, because it's been in limbo for quite a while. There was some management shifting at Solar City, and I think it kind of got dropped there for a little bit. But
He also said he's going to get back to us with specifically what trees they're...
yeah, he was going to have Solar City put together their actual sort of specifying the plan and which things which trees would have to be affected, and the
In the 190
offset,
kilowatt scenario.
Yeah, in the 190
right?
kilowatt scenario, right. So I think it's about 3/4. It was 270, went down to 190.
Yeah.
So that's good. All right, thank you, Maureen, for reminding me. I knew I was supposed to talk about that. All right, anything else? All right, then we are adjourned.
Wait.
Oh,
We'll go
what?
private, real quick.
Oh,
Stop the presses.
I just wanted to close up. Can I get a motion then to move into executive session for the purpose of discussing a legal issue? And a second? All those in favor? Okay, thank you.